So today, hello everyone. You are back at another episode of the Haitians in Medicine podcast, brought to you by Speak Up Media Network. And today we have Miss Chakari Monsanto, who is a certified occupational therapy assistant. And let's talk about what you're doing right now, Chakari. Let's hear you.
All right. Well, hello, everyone. As Nehemie said, my name is Chakari Monsanto. I am a certified occupational therapy assistant, and currently I am studying exercise science right now at Florida Atlantic University. I'm a senior, so I'll be graduating in the fall. Go Owls. And it's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
So you said that you did certified occupational therapy assistant. So what exactly is that?
Okay, so a certified occupational therapy assistant is someone who works in hospitals. They can work in pediatrics, they can work in geriatrics, and they are therapists that help patients get back to their regular activities of daily living.
Mm-hmm. Which counts as?
Is just regular walking, reading, doing any sorts of sports if they were into sports, mowing the lawn, cleaning. Those are different types of things that, everybody does. But if there's some type of traumatic event or anything that happens and they lose that ability to do that activity, occupational therapists work with them to regain that activity.
Okay. So you said you did occupational therapy assistant. Now you're doing exercise science. What made the switch? What was the switch to go into that rather than occupational therapy assistant?
Okay. So during my time working as a COTA, which is the abbreviation for it, I realized that I had more of a passion for the body as in movement purposes rather than more so trying to get people back to the activities that they're doing, or with children in the pediatric section, you would be working with handwriting and fine motor, gross motor skills, things of that nature. So I realized that I wanted to do more so movement, and that kind of brought me over into physical therapy. And I decided, okay, if I want to go into that, I need to start doing things like kinesiology and AP and classes like that.
AP as in anatomy and physiology, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I decided that exercise science would be the best route to take in order to do that.
So what do you plan on doing with exercise science? For those who don't know, what can you do with exercise science?
Okay, so with exercise science, you can do a number of things. You can go into strength and conditioning as a coach, which is actually now what my plan of action is. You could go into physical therapy. You could go into sports medicine. What else? Honestly, the possibilities are endless. You could go into exercise physiology, which is finding different ways to improve on exercise and things like that for the human body, cardiology, different things of that nature.
Okay, so once you do that, what is a plan to do that? Is there a high job outlook for that, or is this something that you're going to be you're going to be working hard to get into a position like that, or is it easy to move up or not easy to move up into?
Okay, so specifically with me, since I want to go down the strength and conditioning path, it's very competitive, especially down here in South Florida, because everybody wants to do personal training. Everybody wants to find a niche in order to work with people to get them healthy and to get them moving and exercising. So definitely down here in South Florida, it is pretty competitive to get into. However, that's when you get into the networking aspect of things and you start to meet people. So one of my internships that I'm going to be going to this fall, I previously already met the person through one of my professors, and him and I have built a relationship that now it's I'm a firm believer that once I graduate, I'll have a position there at that place because of the relationship that was built.
Would you ever leave behind occupational therapy assistant, or would that still be a little bag?
Yeah.
A little mini purse.
Right. I would say definitely, because the certification never goes away. Obviously it can expire if you don't keep up with educational type classes so that you can continue to learn. which are only like required maybe like 30 credits or so a year. But definitely the fact that I have my associates in that, and that's something that I can still tap into at any point in time, it's always there and available for me if I want to.
Definitely. So, like, you already know, there's not a lot of people that I know personally who do that. So how did your parents feel about that when you were just like, hey, I'm going to go and be a occupational therapy assistant?
Yeah. They, you know, it was just kind of like, what is that? Because everybody's just like, occupational therapy, like, what do they do? Like, do they help you find jobs or like, you know, like stuff like that? So it's just like, well, no, like I am going to be like, you know, in the medical field. It's not a doctor, a nurse, or like anything, you know, of that high esteem, but I'm still going to be helping people. I'm still going to be working with people to get them back to their normal life and things like that. And so after a while, they were just kind of like, okay. It wasn't really until after I graduated and started working and explaining to them like what I do at work when it was just kind of like, okay, I guess we get it. Like,
okay.
It makes sense. Yeah.
Definitely. How long was your program?
My program was 2 years, not including the prerequisites that I had to do. So the prerequisites were like the anatomy and physiology, medical terminology. Obviously, you need to know what terms mean, different things of that nature. But the actual program itself, I had to apply for it. It was only 20 students that were going to get accepted.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So it's very, that's also very competitive.
Exactly. So it was just like, okay, like, you know, I hope I get it. I had to do observation hours at a pediatric setting, a mental health setting, and a geriatric setting to kind of like build that knowledge.
Geriatric, by the way, is older adults.
Yes, sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah. So I had to get like all of that like little bit of experience before actually applying for the program, and I had to go through the interview and just a whole list of things, and then I finally got an acceptance letter saying like, you've been selected as one of the students to be a part of the program. And it was long and hard, honestly, because I mean 2 years is not a lot, but the classes were every single day, Monday through Friday. We'd show up at 8 a.m. in the morning. We wouldn't be finished until like 5 p.m. So it was just a lot of information back to back to back. But I'm glad that I stuck through it and that I did it, you know.
Oh, definitely. Like, I'm not gonna lie, nothing in the medical field or in the healthcare field is
it's
easy.
Yeah.
Yes, everything is like hard work.
Definitely.
So did you have to take any prerequisite exams? Like, okay, I know for like nursing school you need to take the T's, for pharmacy school you need to take the PCAT, and then so like, did you have to take any exams?
I did. After graduating with my associates in occupational therapy assistant, I took the NBCOT, which is the NBCOT is the National Board of Certified Occupational Therapists, and they have the exam that I took as a OTA. There's 2 exams that they have. They have the exam for OTAs, and then they have the exam for OTs. And those are the people that normally like go and get the masters and the doctorates in occupational therapy. So they have their own section of examination. The one that I took was just for the assistants. And I actually ended up having to take it twice because the first time I took it, I was about 3 or 4 points off.
Oh my gosh,
yeah,
that really sucks.
From the cutoff, exactly.
Man.
So I was just like, great. And it wasn't cheap either. Like, none of those exams
Oh,
are not cheap.
sweetie, you don't have to remind me. I had to drop a stack to take the NCLEX. Well, close to a stack. Might as well have been.
Exactly. So, but, you know, second time passed, I was over, like, by 7 points at that point. So I was like, okay, great, good.
So, like, what do you plan on doing now? Like in the meantime. In the meantime, what are you doing?
Okay, so currently I was working with a strength and conditioning company, and I was working with children. I was working with young athletes, predominantly with tennis and volleyball, and just, you know, making sure that I'm getting that experience because I know that that's what I'm going to be doing after I graduate. So to make sure that I know how to work with younger athletes and things like that, because it's not the same as like high school or college. Like, the athletes know that they're there to do what they need to do. But with younger children, middle school, around that age, it's kind of just like a free-for-all. So you need to be able to know how to provide the discipline, but at the same time keep it fun and make sure that they're doing what they need to do so that they don't get injured.
Okay, definitely. So now that we've talked about just being the COTA and going into strength and conditioning, you also yourself are a strength and conditioner. You do lots of weight training, correct?
Yes. I definitely.
Powerlifting, sorry.
Yeah, no problem.
So let's talk about that.
All right. So I started powerlifting in 2018. It actually started out as a New Year's resolution. Surprisingly, I actually stuck with it. And I've had about 3 powerlifting meets so far. Powerlifting meet is just where a bunch of people come together that are powerlifters. It's normally sanctioned by like a higher, like we have, the Powerlifting Association, USA PL, and they have if it's at the national level. If it's at the local level, it might just be like a gym nearby or something like that. And so basically, we go through squat, deadlift, and bench. Those are the 3 main lifts. You have 3 attempts to try to get your highest max, and the first one that I actually competed in, I got first place. That was a local meet. And then the second one that I competed in was a national one, and I got first place for that one in my weight class, though.
Oh, wow.
So it's kind of, you have people that are like bigger in size, so they're obviously not going to be competing in the same bracket as I am. But yeah.
So what exactly is powerlifting, just in case for the people who don't know?
Okay, so for the people that don't know, powerlifting is just a form of exercise that you just try to max out at your highest weight. It's something that you can set goals to try to attain, try to hit. It's always good to have a coach, because going into something like powerlifting, it can be very strenuous on your body. So you want to make sure that, you have the proper training from someone that will make sure that you don't injure yourself, because the higher the weight goes, if your body's not ready to lift it or move it or however, you can definitely get injured. So, yeah.
Does that play into why you wanted to go into strength and conditioning?
Yes, it does. Like I said, I've always had like a passion for fitness. Even in high school, like I played sports. I played volleyball and basketball. So it's just always kind of been something to me that like I enjoy, and so I wanted to make sure that I was going into something that didn't necessarily feel like a job, but more so something of like a passion of mine, and I can also be helping others at the same time attain their dreams.
Oh, that sounds really good.
Yeah, for sure.
So now with that, what are some of the things that you do that like sets you apart from regular powerlifters, like specifically your diet?
Yeah. Okay. So.
Oh my.
So, I am vegan. I have been vegan for 3 years. What is it, June? 3 years and 4 months. So it'll be 4 years in October. And yeah, most powerlifters are nowhere near vegan. They eat all their meats. They eat all their carbs. They're not really super conscious about like aesthetics and stuff like that. They just want to lift the weight. So sometimes they've got the powerlifting, what's termed like the powerlifting bellies and just everything else. But for me, like before even going into powerlifting, I chose to go vegan. So it wasn't like I was going to change midway. So I just, found a way to still get the carbs, still get the proteins, everything else that I need to be able to lift a lot of weight. So, yeah.
Sounds good. So with all of that, how would you holistically tell someone who is like, let's say someone who's listening, who's looking up to you like, oh my gosh, I'm a occupational therapy assistant and I want to also do like training for athletes. Like, what advice would you give someone like that?
Okay. I would give them the advice that they're able to do both. Like, if that's something that you really want to do, obviously with occupational therapy, the pay is a little bit better at that time, especially if you're like an assistant. You would obviously want to continue like working the job that you're working, but on the side or in your free time, you can start to like study and try to find ways to possibly like build like some sort of like side business into strength and conditioning or working with athletes. And again, like network. Like networking is so big because
your network is your network.
Yeah, exactly. Like who you meet, who you know, definitely gives you more opportunities and opens more doors, for sure.
What kind of hardships have you had to face out there as like a Haitian woman in this field? Because like, I'm not gonna lie, you don't meet a lot of Haitians in this field.
No, definitely not. So, well, first and foremost, in the field, I would say in the field of strength and conditioning, you don't see a lot of women, period, because it's definitely like a male-dominated type of thing. You don't see a lot of women coaches. Same thing with occupational therapy. It's kind of one of those situations where, you know, you're amongst a bunch of people. Actually, occupational therapy is more so of a Caucasian, like, woman-dominated type of field. So a few different things that I've had to deal with, especially with trying to get a job, getting out of college and passing my boards, was finding a place that I would feel comfortable at and making sure that, like, I'm able to provide, like, the best care for everyone there and not have to deal with getting certain looks or, like, oh, is she here to, like, observe, or, like, what is she here to do? Oh, I'm here to work. Like, I went through the same amount of schooling you did. I passed the same boards you did. Like, I'm here to work, you know? So it was just a few different things where I had to kind of just, I don't know, make my voice heard, because there would be a lot of times where I would go to different interviews or things like that, and they would ask me, like, overly, like, oh, like, you know, what are your qualifications, or, like, why do you want to be here, like, typical interview questions. But then there would be certain questions where it's just like, are you trying to say that I shouldn't be here? Like, is there something, like, wrong about the, you know?
I understand.
So yeah, that's definitely, you know, things that I've had to deal with, but, you know, it doesn't stop anything. So, yeah.
So I think that's all that we have for today. Okay. Chakari, let them know where they can find you.
Okay. Well, if you all are on Instagram, you can find me at Dreadhead Chiquita. That's DreadChikita.
All right. And guys, thank you guys for listening today. We have Miss Chakari Monsanto. And if you want to follow us on Instagram, make sure you follow us on at Haitians in Medicine, and on YouTube at Blada Knows Best. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.